Welcome to the Spirit School podcast. My name is Danielle Sarank, also known as the Squamish Medium. I created this space to inspire lightworkers to go from fear to clear and get connected to their sacred abilities and spiritual practices. I love supporting women through the creation of their heart-centered spiritual businesses in a way that lights them up and aligns them with their purpose. I am passionate to share all I know about the journey to becoming a professional psychic medium, mentor, and coach for the developing lightworker and spiritual entrepreneur. Through interviews, honest stories of my adventures, and lessons I learned, I hope to empower, inspire, and uplift you and get you excited about your life again. Welcome home. Hello, Spirit School listeners. Welcome back. I am excited to bring you the November energy forecast. As I was just explaining to my YouTube followers, as you know now, I have a YouTube channel and I do these forecasts on YouTube through the newsletter as well as here in the podcast world. So before I get started, I just wanted to give a quick little plug to my podcast class that I'm hosting on November 14th. So this is for anyone who's been thinking about doing a podcast, anyone who, wants a framework to build out a podcast on. So it's going to be really in-depth. It's going to be a 3-hour class with a full workbook. It's going to be live and recorded. There are some people who have already registered who can't attend live, and that's perfectly fine. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'll explain a little bit more details in a future episode, but I just wanted to give it a quick little plug here. It's the first link in the show notes on both YouTube and the podcast world. So check it out if you're interested. It's only $111 Canadian. And it will basically be everything that you need, from strategy to framework to technology to get a podcast launched for the new year. I will say that podcasting has completely changed my life, not only the trajectory of my career, but also my confidence and I could just say confidence in the way that I show up in the world for the world of spirit, talking about spiritual things, like things I was kind of like scared to talk about in the public before. It really healed a lot of that. So I'll just say that. And you can check out the link in the show note if you guys are interested, or DM me on Instagram at Squamish Medium if you have any questions. I've had a lot of people message me, is this for me if? I'm like, yes, it's for you. It's going to be a ton of fun. Anyone who's taken any of my classes know that I go deep. I don't skimp out on anything, so it's definitely never going to be 111 again. Because the workbook is really intense, but it's a lot of fun. Okay, so let's get into the November energy forecast. Now, it's funny because I'm in a really good mood today. So I haven't been in a very good mood for a long time. And so it was kind of interesting because I feel like for the past few months, at least since August, I feel like what typically is the energy for September, October has been like a month ahead. You know what I mean? Like I was feeling Scorpio, transformation, dark night of the soul kind of energy in September. And then same with, the chaotic energy spirit was showing me for November. I was feeling that in October. And so when I felt into the energy of November, it's going to be hard to describe the way Spirit showed it to me. But if you watch like a movie like The Matrix, or I remember that Jake Gyllenhaal movie about, winter coming to New York, or the world freezing. It's like the eye of the storm comes and there's that moment of like intense silence. It's like, whoa. I feel like heading into November, we're kind of in that eye of the storm is how Spirit has kind of shown it to me. Now, to me, I know the astrology indicates that we're going to be in this cycle for 4 years. Of course, we're almost done year 1. For some people, they're thinking it's going to be 10 years. I will say for the intensity, like the holy, like WTH, WTF that we've been feeling since March, Spirit is making me feel that this first bit of November is kind of like the eye of the storm, aka halfway point. So I feel like literally there's like a little bit of a clearing above us, and then the storm's going to pick up again. So this is going to be interesting how it plays out. I'll see if I can get more details on that, but that's kind of the way they were showing it to me. I went into this like deafening silence where I was like, whoa, I'm like, that's intense. So I definitely do pick up a lot of intensity around it. So let me just kind of pull a few cards. So for the folks that are on the podcast, because I explain this more in depth on YouTube, I'm using John Holland Psychic Tarot deck today because it's my tough love deck, and I need some real shit here because I am in such a good mood. that I'm like, that wasn't kind of like the energy I was picking up for November before. So, and it's funny because all the cards that I'm picking are powerful cards. Like I have the material harvest, I have, money, abundance, opportunity. I also have the triumph card, the seventh card, luck, and, mastering something you've been trying to master for quite a few months. So if you've been trying to master a belief or a mindset, or you've been trying to master even a course, I feel like there's a lot of course completion happening this month, and you're just kind of like raring to go. So this could be like the eye of the storm feels, where it's like, yes, we're lightening up, like things are kind of coming together. Now, I'm recording this on October 30th, and I feel like we're going to have about a week of this, right? This is kind of how I'm feeling. And Spirit's also giving me the power card, the 8 card. I mean, these are all fantastic cards here. The power card always resembles, internal power, like understanding your strength, like really seeing how resilient you are. So I feel like this is kind of like the gifting between the eye of the storm is really looking at, the past like 8-9 months that we've been experiencing what we've been experiencing. And you might be surprised with yourself. You might actually want to give yourself a bit of a pat on the back because you have overcome so much. And there's so much energy here around recognizing the resilience that's you. And so please do celebrate. Don't forget to celebrate. Like if I could get everyone to just like pause right now. I know a lot of people listen to me when they're walking and they're driving, but like literally pause right now and like just grab a pen and paper or your journal and like literally write out a list of everything you've overcome this year. Like so far. Like of course the year's not done. We still have 2 months, but I think that would be really beneficial for you to kind of like tap into that power. A lot of 8s. Okay, give me a second here while I just kind of like pull some. Here it is. Okay. So as we kind of transition through the month of November, there is going to be a point where some of you will be experiencing some emotional withdrawal. And so you're going to have to really reconcile between your mind and what your soul needs. For some of you, you're going to need some emotional withdrawal. But I know for my American friends that it is a time of Thanksgiving. And I know that there's probably going to be some of you who are not going to be able to go see your family for Thanksgiving. And you might actually feel withdrawn from society and family. I'm going to use the word here, disconnected from the ones that you love. And so Spirit is really asking me to tell you guys to really spend this time in self-reflection in a positive way. They're wanting me to explain to you guys to use it to get deeper with a meditation practice. And I feel a bit hypocritical saying this. So this is how come I know it comes from Spirit, because this isn't advice I would typically give you because I'm not a big meditator. But they're actually saying like you will find peace, like in the silence, you will find peace during that time of emotional withdrawal, where you will get a lot more clarity on who you are. I feel like this year's been very busy, of course. Like a lot of us have been like fumbling around. There's so much uncertainty. We don't know which way's up or down. Do I have childcare next week? Like we just don't know. And so Spirit's making me feel like there's going to be an opportunity this month, almost by force, of like emotional withdrawal. So for some of you that may be in lockdown, that might mean just not able to travel. Like it does feel forced though. It feels like it's not our choice. So then how do we make the best of this opportunity that we didn't choose? And so Spirit's saying, go in, sit in the silence, call us forward. We will give you the inspirations you need to make sure that you don't feel alone. Okay, so just know that if there's loneliness coming up for you this month, that Spirit needs you to know that you're there with them. So I also get this it's funny, this card, it totally reminds me of Scorpio. It's like the 15 temptation card. Now, what Spirit makes me feel around this, okay, I'm going to be honest with you how they're bringing this to me. There's going to be someone who's triggered you in the past or is triggering you or going to trigger you. And the temptation to go backwards, like we're different people now than when we first started this year, right? We're powerful. That came up in the cards. So there's going to be this temptation experience to kind of set you back. It's going to be, who am I going to choose to be in this moment? I'm going to be the old me that I've been working so hard to transform, like this temper, this old trigger that I know that I've healed the source for? Or are you going to embrace the new powerful you and move forward with grace and a completely different way than you would typically react? So do know that Spirit is going to be bringing us an opportunity to be triggered this month, that we're going to have that choice. And just know that if you end up slipping back and like going to your old default way of handling things, which may be letting somebody get the better of you, making decisions out of your integrity to please others, like whatever this looks like for you, if you, I'm going to put in air quotes, like fail, which you can't fail, they will bring you the opportunity again. So you will have a chance to choose again. But if you choose to kind of take the new road that you've been working so hard towards, there'll be definitely some spiritual reward there. Some good like kudos to you from Spirit. So sometimes when I feel like I get spiritual rewards, like just so you know what that looks like for me, it really comes as like a spiritual experience. It comes as, Spirit coming closer than I feel them come closer before. It's come in dreams that have given me epiphanies. It's come in inspirations that actually bring me abundance. Because Spirit's like, okay, Danielle's like listening to us. So like, let's bring the next thing in, right? It's like follow those kind of cookie crumbs. So I feel like it's going to be one of those experiences for you guys. And holla, because I pull the authority card, the 4 card, which is a very harmonious card in my view of things. It's an angel number for me. 4 is like the angel number for me. I know for others it might be a little bit different, and that's perfectly fine. But Spirit's making me feel if you do choose to take that higher path that you've been working so hard towards, you're going to feel pretty badass. And that badassery is going to carry on in all aspects of your life: career, finance, health, opportunity, family, relationships, spirituality. Spirit's making me feel that now is the month that we're going to be tested on everything we've been working towards this year. So for me this year, just to give you guys an example, so I'm not being vague, I've been really working towards like not people pleasing, not bending to critics' wills, so to speak. I've been trying to work beyond fear of rejection. And then if I feel rejected, then who am I in that moment? Am I going to spiral and kind of like want to give up? Or am I going to want to just say, you know what, this is just the way the ebbs and flows work, and let's just look forward to the next ebb. And I've been really tested with this since August, and I was tested last year for August to December with the same lesson. So obviously I didn't master it last year, so it's coming back. And so like that for me is what comes up for me personally when I'm looking at what I've intentionally been trying to master this year. So there's probably going to be an opportunity for me this month to face some big criticism or some judgment or rejection. And then who am I going to be in that moment? Am I going to be the person that I used to be and spiral and kind of like want to quit, even though I've never quit? I do always want to quit. Or am I going to be the person who just says, you know what, this is just the way it is, and let's just see what comes next. So I'm hoping it's going to be the latter, and time will tell. But for you individually, just kind of think about what you've been really working on this year, kind of moving past. Maybe it's a career change. Maybe it's letting go of some relationships that just like don't light you up anymore. That's come up a lot in these forecasts for the past little while. So just look personally how this shows up for you, and just be prepared to be challenged a little bit by Spirit with it, and see what comes up. Okay, let me see what else comes up. It's a big mix mash month, you guys. There's going to be some high highs and some low lows, okay? That is what Spirit is bringing me. There's going to be some high highs. You're like, Danielle, I have no idea what you're talking about. Everything's freaking fine. And then you're like, Danielle, shit is like not together at all. You said that there are going to be some high highs. So this is what I feel about this month. That is kind of for me what Scorpio energy-ish is. And I do definitely feel it's just going to be one of these really draining months, because high highs, low lows. Think about what that does to your nervous system. So really do what you can to balance out your nervous system. I know that for me, because I had my nervous system completely destroyed November 2018 when I was really triggered at work, which was the impetus of me leaving that career. It took me a while to get my nervous system back to balance. And I actually went to this amazing healer here in Squamish, who's a medical intuitive and she was like really beneficial for me, kind of neutralizing and getting my nervous system back. But ever since then, I've actually noticed breath. And I've never done breath work. I have had a few clients, and I know she's listening because I will work with her, but I had somebody reach out to me recently to offer me a free breathwork session. And I wasn't ready. I said, you know what, I'm grieving like crazy and I'm a vulnerable woman, but I don't know if I could just like sob for hours in front of somebody, right? So hit me up in like a month or two. But I have noticed just the way that spirit gets me to guide my clients and my students in the initiation circle through even just slowness of breath, how that neutralizes our nervous system. Now here's the important thing about that is spirit is making me feel that if we don't work or spend some intentional time this month on like balancing the nervous system, so almost like not balancing it when you've been activated, but actually keeping it balanced before you get activated. So be proactive here and be, forward thinking here, and just start doing like some really deep intentional breaths, even if it's just once an hour, taking like 5 really deep intentional breaths to kind of calm the nervous system. We're going to be healthier, because this is a health card for me that I pull up. It's the 11 balance card. I know for some of my listeners, I know that you guys have this deck. It's probably one of the most signature decks out there ever. It's a classic. The 11 card. To me, this is actually kind of an angel card too, the 11 number. But it is. We're just going to be better for it. It's a health card though. It's a warning from spirit to say, your body, if you're not taking care of it, is going to get sick. And who wants to get sick during COVID, right? Tests, some places won't let you go back if you don't get a negative test, and that test is not fun. I haven't taken it myself, but I had a very traumatic experience getting it done for my son, and I don't know if I would go through it. So, okay. So for some of you, and this is funny because when I was in the car dropping off my kids this morning, and of course I'm always thinking about the forecast. I was actually going to record this yesterday, but I just chose to do other things. So this morning I was like, okay, I'm going to do the forecast today. And they did show me this card. And so this card comes up. It's the 4 card of discontent and boredom. It's the green border card, which is with the heart. And so there's some of you who are feeling incredibly unsatisfied and discontent, and this might come up in relationships, to be honest with you. I hate saying things like that. I'm not one to talk about relationships because I am like the least romantic person you will ever meet. A lot of people come like, I want to know about relationships. I'm like, I'm probably the wrong psychic for you, because I'm not an expert in relationships at all. But this comes up for me in relationships. And so sometimes, when we get bored in relationships, we don't have to like leave them, right? It's like we have to kind of take responsibility and know our role within it, where what can we do to like liven up the essence of the relationships that we choose. And this goes beyond love, to be honest with you. This is even like friendships, relationships with like clients. Like I feel like there's like a lot of status quo happening right now. And so how do we shake things up? How do we get things exciting again for us? So just know that this might come up for you. You'll just like feel this like ickiness of discontentment. And I've talked about discontentment a lot on the podcast because I suffered with discontentment for years. And for me, it showed up in overeating and overspending. And so I would literally spend so much money. Like when I was at corporate, because I made a lot of money and I worked next to a mall that I was tax-free at, every day at lunch, I would go spend like $100. So you have to think 5 days in the office, it's like $500 a week. And so, yeah, that's how my discontentment showed up. So you look for something non-obvious. You're like, oh, why am I all of a sudden like eating crappy again or not wanting to exercise? And you're like bored. What spirit is bringing me around this is like, look at your relationships. And are you maybe discontented there? Maybe it's your relationship with yourself. Are you boring yourself? Are you doing the same thing all the time? You need to shake it up. Think about that. Spirit also brings me the sacral chakra card, which again for me just screams creativity. So if you're feeling bored, if you're feeling discontent, try to pick up something creative that you've never done before or you've always wanted to do and you haven't wanted to do. This might sound incredibly silly, but my girl who is 6 years old, her teacher last year taught us finger knitting. So we actually just put yarn on our finger and use our fingers as like little knitting needles. I'm hooked on that. Like, oh my God, that's like a total pun. I'm hooked on that. Like, I actually find that so freaking soothing. I love finger knitting, and I'm not making anything. I'm just making this like really long string. But to me, that kind of comes up because what Spirit wants to say around the sacral card is not only the creativity, but that feeling nurtured, that feeling soothe. It's like this soothe, again, they bring me back to my nervous system. It's like soothing. I'll be honest with you, cooking stresses me out, and so does painting. Even when I was making my first drum with one of our elders, they like made me leave the room because I was so tense in that drum. I'm just like, I need this done. I just want to get this done. Like, I don't enjoy creative processes. Like, for me, a creative process is like launching a podcast course and hitting up Canva and creating all the pretty graphics. Like, that to me is creative and creativity that like lights me up and calms me down. But when it comes to like painting, I'm like holding my breath and I'm like, my body's all tense. So Spirit's wanting you to find a source of creativity that makes you relax. So for me, that's finger knitting and Canva. I don't know what this looks like for you, but you might need to look outside of what you think creative endeavors actually look like. Again, the real message behind it is around calming the nervous system. Okay. And I talk so fast in these forecasts, guys. I've been working with a voice coach trying to slow down, but because I'm working not only with the cards, but Spirit's inspirations, I tend to talk really fast. So I can feel my nervous system being completely activated right now, and like creates disease in my body. And so after this, before I start my sessions for the day, I'm going to probably take some deep, high quality breaths and kind of calm my nervous system down so that I can show up for my clients in a good way. Okay, I'm just going to pull 3 more cards for you guys, okay? Oh, geez. You guys, November's not going to be that bad. I don't think it is, but, you know, the astrology says different. So we'll see what comes up, right? Yeah, I love astrology. I believe in it so much. Like, it's if I'm spending any money on readings, I get astrology readings. They're my favorite. And I know the astrology talks about November 13th being incredibly tense. I know we have the U.S. election coming up on the 3rd, though I think that that's going to be a little bit drawn out from what I've seen on the news. I don't know. So I was expecting it to be like super, super, super intense. And I do think that we will be triggered. We will be challenged. We will be a bit bored, discontent, looking at the relationships, all that fun stuff, calming the nervous system. So, I mean, you could say about any month that there's going to be highs and lows, but I think for November, it's going to be extreme highs and lows. It's going to be like really high highs and then the low lows that you just crash, you get a headache, like these things kind of physically come up for you. So look for it to come up physically in your body. But what I'm ending with these 3 cards are pretty phenomenal freaking cards. So let's feel into what Spirit wants me to say about them. The first one that comes up is the root chakra, which for me is a money placement. It's safety and security. So like Spirit really wanting you to know you are going to be safe. You are going to be secure. You are going to be cared for and provided for 1,000%. So just trust that, okay? If you're feeling like, I don't know where my money's coming from next month, Spirit's wanting you to say, don't worry, we got your back. They want me to talk about money with that base chakra card. I got a new beginnings card. So I'm thinking of my best friend Christy right now, who's leaving her job today, and these cards are totally for her. Because you see this woman, this is my favorite card in the deck. It's the new beginnings. It's this woman standing over the world, and the world is hers. Where do you want to go? The opportunity is completely yours. It is lit up. You are completely safe, and you will be cared for if you choose to start a new adventure. And so for those that are just like waiting for New Year's, it's like you don't need to wait for New Year's. You can make these kind of shifts now. And what Spirit really brings me is this harmonious card that whatever you are doing this month is creating a strong foundation for your future. Literally the foundation of 2021. So see November as that. Whatever you choose to do this month is going to be the foundation for the year ahead for you. So take what you will of that, but if it were me, I would take it pretty seriously. And so I'm thinking about this in myself too. It's like I took, I have 3 sessions today with clients, and then after this, I'm not taking any clients on for 2 weeks, and I'm just focusing on shooting the videos for my Mediumship Foundations course that's coming out in January. The initiation is going to be a bit different when I launch it. It's going to be phenomenal and definitely high end. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to be focusing on shooting the videos for the course section for the 6-week foundational journey. And then, of course, there's going to be the community aspect of it for those that choose the community and course, where they will get the whole community. I will schedule readings for them. They'll get to integrate everything that they're learning in the course. People who took the initiation last time, like a lot of them are out doing readings now. Some people actually didn't even ever do readings before, and they didn't know if they had mediumship abilities, and they're like out doing things now, really surprising themselves. And then there's going to be a third option where you get the community course and then one-on-one time with me, one mentorship session with me and one session with me to observe you work, to get valuable feedback, which is definitely for people who feel a bit more advanced. So I'm going to be working on that for November because I'm going to start selling the seats in December for people. So yeah, this is the foundation that I'm creating. So these cards kind of excite me, and I also took the time off because I know that in June with the Black Lives Matter movement, for me, and I totally back the movement 100%, but the energy of the collective was so intense. It was actually hard to work because it was so intense, and my clients weren't intense and I wasn't intense, but it was just the energy. So I really suspected, based off the astrology, that these first 2 weeks of November would be really intense. It's only October 30th, so we'll wait and see what comes up. But I know for me, I intentionally said, okay, I'm not going to take on clients and I'm going to have this plan. And if the plan falls apart, if things get intense, that's fine. I'll figure it out, and everything is figure outable, right? Okay, so I'm going to stop babbling. I'm going to stop babbling. I hope you guys enjoyed this forecast. I would love to hear from you, what resonated, what didn't. Yeah. Okay. One more thing quickly, because Spirit's bringing it to me clairaudiently, but I'm hearing the Cher song, Do You Believe in Love After Love? So that's just one last thing for somebody out there. I think it's going to be at least 5-6 people that needed to hear that. Do you believe in love after love? So I feel like some relationships have ended, or maybe some time ago, or maybe recently, and just kind of thinking about that. So I'll leave that with you guys. Share this episode if you find it interesting, if you find it accurate for yourself, if you are thinking about somebody else, you're like, whoa, this is for them. Do share it, tag me on Instagram, and I'll share your tag. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for also leaving a review and a rating. It really helps me in the podcast world. Check out my podcast class that's happening November 14th. If you're interested or even thinking that you want to start a podcast, I will teach you everything I wish I knew when I launched my podcast, because I learned so much by doing this DIY adventure, and I'm still DIY. I still do all my own editing. I do all my own promotion. And so I have a lot to share on this. And yeah, I'm really excited for the people who have registered so far and the people who are still going to register. So love you guys. Have a fantastic November. And for you guys on the newsletter and YouTube, I'll see you every week for your energy forecast. And for the people who are in the podcast sphere, I have some really good interviews coming up. The one with Tony was very popular. Holy crap. And I have her old mentor, Charlie Kelly, coming on in November. I also have this woman, I can't remember her name off the top of my head because her Instagram handle is really interesting, but she does phenomenal TikTok videos on mediumship philosophy. And I love her philosophies. For one, they don't necessarily 100% align with mine, but that's perfectly fine. I just love how she shares it. She's so creative. And so I'm really excited to talk to her as well. And I also have my friend Ray coming on. We're going to be doing an animal communication episode as well. So lots of fun stuff coming up on the podcast. All right. Love you guys.